Deryck teaches Alteryx, Lesson 1. Today I'm going to teach you Alteryx. And Alteryx is a great tool, a great system to use if you're a total beginner to data analysis. So unlike R, unlike SAS, unlike some of the other statistical tools, this one doesn't have a lot of scripting. It's all visual, it's all intuitive. But before I start, I always like to apply any of my data analysis to a real or realistic problem or situation. Let's pretend that I have a website, and the website looks something like this. I know I didn't make an HTML page. I'm just representing this in Excel for now. Let's pretend that I have an online store, a fictional store, Deryck's watches.buy. You can see some pictures of some watches. And so the idea is that people are entering my website. They're browsing around. Some people are buying watches. Some people are not. And as a result, I have data that represents the visitor actions activities on the website. I have some fictitious IP addresses of some visitors, the source traffic. So this is where the different users or different visitors have come from my website. They saw a link on Facebook or a blog or YouTube, and then they have the date in which they visited. And the rest of this data is the date and times in which they visited each of the HTML pages on the website. And then the last few columns represent any sort of purchases that were made by each visitor, if there are any. And I've also flowcharted. I made a really rough flowchart of how such a website might be designed, where a user or a visitor comes into the home page, looks at the list of the different products, the menu of products, selects one or two, and enters them into like a shopping cart, makes their purchase. The purchase is complete. They get an invoice, and then the product or the watch is mailed to them. So there's the data there. I've saved this data in a CSV file. So that's what it would look like. And now we're going to use Alteryx to analyze it. Let's take a walk through Alteryx. First thing you'll notice is that there are a bunch of these big colorful icons at the top. These are tools, and each tool represents some sort of activity or calculation that's done on the data. All the tools are stored in different categories, so as I click the categories, you'll know that different tools are visible. And I can drag and drop any tool into the workspace here. So I'm going to drag this tool in here, and you'll notice that the configuration box has changed. The configuration enables what the tools can do and what options I can set for the tool in order for the tool to do what I want it to do. And when I select and delete the tool, the configuration changes. Down here you'll notice that there is an output, and in order to get the output to work, to function, when I drag the tool and set the options that I want, I hit the run, and then the output shows me any sort of data that results, or it shows me the error. I have one error here because I dragged and dropped a join activity without having any input data, and it created an error. Let's get started. Let's go to the in and out, because the first thing we want to do is we want to bring data in. And I'm going to use the input data tool, drag it right here. Select this drop down box and hit file. I want to import the CSV. So web page data CSV file, open. And immediately you'll see that the configuration box is changed. And then down here there's a preview of all the fields. So as I slide the slider to the left and the right, you'll see all the field names. And then the data here, you can see samples of the data as I slide the slider, the vertical one, up and down. If I hit the run, the output should actually, I get a little status window here and you'll see the output data down here in the output box. I want to make sure that my data is set to the right form or the format. Data has, in any statistical analysis tool, data will have different attributes. So I want to make sure that, for example, my purchase quantity and my unit prices are numbers, and that my visit date is set to a date calculation, or set to a date format. I can use select to get to select the fields that I want and the field attributes that I want. So if I need to find the select here in the preparation, trying to remember where it is now. Select, where are you? I know that it is also in the favorites. There it is, select. Immediately when I drag the select in and I have it connected to the output, you'll notice that it is selecting, it is trying to choose the field type that it wants. But it's setting everything to vstring. So if I want, I can change the type of field or column that I want represented in the rest of my analysis by simply hitting this drop-down box. One easy trick is there's another tool called autofield that I can drag and drop in between these two activities, these two icons, and it should automatically reset the field types according to what I desire, which it hasn't. One of the things you can do is you can always start over. You can delete all these icons and then start in the order that you want to drag and drop these in. And that didn't work this time. So what I'm going to do is select, manually select these. So the unit price I want, my unit price has dollars and cents as decimals, so this needs to be a float. But that's only 4 characters long. Let's try a double. That's better. And then for the sake of ease of use, we'll also the quantity purchase, we'll also set that as a double. Let's run and make sure that we're not getting any errors, and then we're not. You notice that the status lines in the output have shown up automatically. And if I want to look at the actual data again, all I need to do is select this out box in the output and the data will reappear. So in the select, I can look again and make sure that the settings that I have are set to the types that I want. Let's try and select the date from string to date and see what happens. And then hit the run box. So what's happened is I'm getting an error. Alteryx doesn't like something about my dates. It might be the slash that I'm setting the dates to slash. So I'm not going to play around with it. But what I would normally do is I'd go back to my CSV file and type in a date with a word month and some numbers for the day and the year and see if that works. But instead what I'm going to do is I'm just going to go back to the select field and set it back to string. Hit run again. No errors. And then I'm just going to check my data and all looks good. Peachy keen. How much is each customer spending? So I look at my data. I notice that my customers, my visitors, some of them are visiting my website and making purchases. Some are visiting and they're not making purchases. So of the ones that are making purchases, what is the total spend? How much is, if this customer bought product C, he bought 2 of them at over $2,000 each, what's the total spend? The first thing I would want to do is I want to filter out the rows that don't have any spend. So in the preparation, there should be a filter. And here it is. Just going to drag and drop this here. And then in the configuration box, I can put in an expression. I'm going to filter in the product that is either 0 or NA. So if I go back here, any of the product purchased that have NA, I want to filter out. Select column product purchase. And then I need to choose, what I need to do is I need to select some sort of, I need to select a, here it is, formula. No. I need a not equals basically. Product purchase doesn't equal. So I'm going to choose, here it is. Choose a mathematical. Nope, it's the wrong one. Basically, I want to use a product purchase. You know what I've done? I've selected formula, which is why I'm not finding what I want. What I want is filter. I made a boo-boo. Filter, select a column, product purchased, and doesn't equal NA. Hit the run. Pray for no errors. No errors. So the condition I have has a true and the false. So if I hit false, I'll see all the data for the visits for which the visitors didn't make any purchases. And then for true, I have only the visitors that have made a purchase. So now I have only the data for which purchases are made, and I want to know what the total spend is, because all I have right now is quantity purchase and unit price. This is where I use the formula now. Tack the formula onto here, and I'm going to set an expression. So I want to multiply quantity purchased by unit price. Actually what I need to do is I'm not supposed to select the column here. I'm supposed to add the column. So add the column, and I'm going to call it spend. I'm going to select the columns. First I'm going to select quantity purchased, and then use a multiply and select unit price. Hit the run, and then select the out arrow, and I should have a new column called spend. And here it is. That's lesson 1. Lesson 2 will show you some more features and perhaps do some graphing or some sort of graphical visual options. Hope you enjoyed it.